everyone. This is Anne Marie Gaddy from Classic Movie Hub. Welcome to the Screen Classics discussion series from Classic Movie Hub and the University Press of Kentucky. Tonight's event is The Crane Legacy, a Hollywood Family, and our guests are Robert Crane and Susan Compo. So before we get started, let me just tell you a little bit about our guests. Robert Crane is the son of radio personality and actor Bob Crane, who many of us classic fans know and love as Colonel Hogan from TV's Hogan's Heroes. So very excited about that. Robert, though, is the author of several books, including My Life as a Mankiewicz, Jack Nicholson, The Early Years, Bruce Dern, A Memoir, and Crane, Sex, Celebrity, and My Father's Unsolved Murder. Susan Compo is a lecturer in the Master of Professional Writing program at the University of Southern California and is the author of Warren Oates' A Wild Life, Earthbound, David Bowie and the Man Who Fell to Earth. Oh my God, I love that movie when it came out. And, and 3 works of fiction, including Life After Death and Other Stories. So we'll be taking questions from the audience tonight. So if you have any questions, please feel free to type them in the comments below and we'll try to get to them after the discussion. So now I am so happy. Please join me in welcoming Robert Crane and Susan Compo. Yay.
Hello, everybody. Thanks, Anne Marie.
Hi, everyone. It's great to be here.
Hi, Susan.
Yeah, hey. Well, I reread the book. I'd read it probably about a year ago, reread it just to refresh my memory. And I thought, oh, I'll just skim it because, I've read it before. And it is absolutely impossible to skim because it's just so compelling and so readable. The detail is powerful. And so I ended up going through the whole thing again, which was a pleasure, even though it's obviously distressing in many places. It kind of puts me, this might seem very strange, but it puts me in mind of 2 other books. And one is, that's My Dark Places, James Ellroy's book, and also Famous Father Girl by Jamie Bernstein about her dad, Leonard Bernstein.
Wow. Yeah.
Yeah. And she had, her father kind of had, as you said about your father, the brain really had no governor. And that was kind of the same thing with Mr. Bernstein, who knew. So
thank you for putting this book in that company.
yeah, oh, well, definitely. I mean, it's a mix, definitely bits and pieces of both, but, and I know that you wrote it where you did a bit from the past and then the present and then to where they kind of conjoin and went forward from there. But I wondered, when you wrote the parts in the past, did you write them all in one go or did you kind of go back and forth like that as a writer?
Well, I must mention my co-author on this, Chris Pryor.
Yeah, I was going to, yeah.
Chris and I also did a book on Jack Nicholson to be
part
of your series with Warren Oates, your book.
Yeah.
And Harry Dean Stanton, Joe Atkins' book at Kentucky. And then we did a book together with Bruce Dern. So I've worked with him before. And on this project, Chris was like the Martin Scorsese of this project, in that he kept saying, why did you do that? And then what happened? And, so he kept pushing me because, my natural response is to, that's enough, especially when you're talking about yourself and your family. But he kept pushing. He said, well, what color was that? Why did you do that? So we did it fairly chronologically, but then we wanted to do something different in the beginning. And that's the part you're talking about, Susan, where it goes back and forth between the present in 1978 and the past. And it goes back and forth until, like you said, they can join and then just keep moving forward. So that was just something to, instead of just the old page 1, it was 1951. And I was a cute little child, and we decided to do that and then start with the murder, the day of the murder, and then go forward from there.
Well, it's very affecting. And in fact, one of my questions was going to be, what are the advantages of working with a co-author or a co-writer? And I guess
on this one, because we know each other so well and we have each other's back, have each other's six, as they say on procedural shows. You can take the leap out off the end of the pier and not feel weird or ashamed or scared or any of that, because you know the other person is going to go, yeah, that's great, or nah, that doesn't work, we got to go back to like that. But at least you take the leap and try it. And
Right.
then, for this book, a lot of leaps worked and some didn't. So we would come back and, get back on the line.
Right. And you've known him a long time, right? Like most of your life, or haven't you known each other quite a while? Or
Chris Fryer, yeah. We've known each other since middle school.
yeah. And it struck me that because obviously your life has had tragedy, and it seems like because you had good friends, that had to have been a great touchstone. And it made me think, I don't know that your father really formed friendships. I formed good friendships. You would obviously know more than me, but
That's a very good point. My dad was basically a lone wolf.
Yeah.
Who probably only trusted himself.
Right.
And so occasionally he would have a best friend. I remember growing up, like a family that we met through a kid I knew going to school. The father became my dad's good buddy for a while.
Oh,
and
interesting.
then that fell away. And then,
Wow.
I remember towards probably the last 5-6 years of his life, there was an actor named David Huddleston, very great actor, good guy. IMDb him, David Huddleston.
Okay.
Good stuff. And they met on something. I forget what they met on. And they kind of became buddies for a while. But basically, it was my dad out there on his own.
Yeah.
And I think that was a decision of his.
Must have felt very isolating. And I was thinking, you mentioned about some of his youth. I know his father died when he was pretty young, but I don't get a sense of, he was a taciturn man, but he wasn't a warm father, I don't think. I'm talking about your grandfather.
Oh, my grandfather, his dad.
Yeah.
You're absolutely right. He was came from the old school.
Wow.
Sold furniture.
Yep.
And he had his cigarettes, and he came home at night and put his robe on and played music, on his record player, while his wife, my grandmother Rose, prepared dinner. And then he would have another couple of cigarettes and some cocktails, and then they would sit down to dinner together. So that was my dad's dad. So the whole notion of show business could have been on Mars as far as my dad was concerned. Nobody in the.
It's really interesting that he took that up, because there doesn't seem to be the foundation for it. I wanted to ask you too, both you and your father obviously have a great sense of humor. Where did that come from in the family?
Boy, Susan, that's the $64,000 question. It's not like they didn't have a good time in their family, but my dad had an older brother who turned out to have many problems. Oh. So it was really the four of them. And I think my dad started forming that lone wolf persona at that time to get to where he wanted to go, because his parents couldn't have cared less about, show business or any of that.
Yeah. And then when your dad came west, which was like, I was thinking, it's like a little bit up ahead of when TV did, because TV came with Television City and all that, just slightly after he came this way to work at, I wondered to what extent, obviously that opened up a whole career for him, but to what extent, no, of course, Los Angeles and Hollywood makes everything more accessible to you, but do you ascribe to the idea that there's something intrinsically dark about Los Angeles, like a David the Locust kind of thing, or do you think it's just that's coincidence or not really relevant.
Yeah, no, it was quite the opposite for us. My parents were the pioneers in our family.
Mhm.
And they came west from Connecticut, not in a covered wagon, but in an Oldsmobile. And they
Excellent.
drove
Yeah.
across. And the whole reason to come west was my dad, who was on the radio at
Right.
the time, in Connecticut. You either go, the big catch is New York.
Right.
And
Right.
New York didn't want him. So he turned in audition tapes to Los Angeles and a station out here called KNX, which is
Of
now a
course.
news
Yeah.
station. The manager of the station loved the tape, thought he was hilarious. They were looking for a morning, drive time, light comedian, plays music, that kind of thing person. And so my folks came out to take a look, and they locked in the deal. My dad stayed out here. My mom went back east, said goodbye to everybody there, picked me up. My mom and I came out on a train, took 3 days. We landed at Union Station, downtown LA. And everything was totally bright, Susan. It was the opposite of, like the James Ellroy story you're talking about.
Okay. Yeah. Yeah.
Or Chinatown, or any of that. This was, wow, orange groves. We're in LA, we're in the San Fernando Valley. My dad's gonna be on a big radio station out here. We were on cloud nine.
Yeah. Interesting. Yeah. So you grew up in the Valley as a child of celebrity, and I think you still have lots of friends who are celebrity kids as well, or because I knew you didn't really. Yeah. Oh.
No. We first landed in Sherman Oaks. They rented a house for 6 months. Then they bought a house in what TV Guide called the unfashionable Tarzana.
Tarzana, that's right. Yeah.
And we lived out there, and they put in a swimming pool, and but we had no show business friends. My dad was primarily on radio at the time, so he was not hanging out with actors and actresses per se, but doing this kind of light comedy. He had his drum set there. He played sound effects records. It was unscripted. It's all in his brain. 4 hours a day, 6 days a week. But the big break for him was in the last hour of Monday through Friday, because he was on Monday through Saturday. The last hour would be celebrity guests.
Right.
And he had a who's who of celebrities of that time. Everybody from, remember comedy albums?
Yeah, of course, yeah.
Nichols and May.
Oh, wow.
Bill Cosby, Bob Newhart, Jonathan Winters, people like that would be on promoting. Then he'd have Dick Van Dyke, Carl Reiner.
I think you knew his son, right? Or you kind of would compare your life to one of Dick Van Dyke's sons who's got the cool kid.
Yeah, we went to the same middle school, Portola Junior High, and Barry Van Dyke, son of one of the sons of Dick, they lived in Encino. Encino, the high Los edge. We lived in unfashionable Tarzana. So there was always, but they all met at junior high or middle school. And everybody was in awe of the Van Dyke boys. And Cher Bono's half sister went to our school. And these were celebrities. The rest of us were just kind of, from the working stiff families. And so I didn't have celebrity friends at all, really.
Right, but you did have your moment in the sun as a kid and felt, I think you said, washed up at 7, so after having a stint on the show and,
Oh yeah, that's when I was cute, Susan. Yeah. I was cute from about 4 years old to about 7. And then I became cocky. And that's when I used to be on my dad's radio show because I would say cute things. And then at about 7, when I became really cocky, my dad kind of said, yeah,
Enough of that.
Yeah. So
Wow.
I
Yeah.
was already washed up at 7. So
Yeah. Well, we haven't talked about the tragedy, but I can't even imagine what it's like to have gone through that and then see a crime scene so unbelievably bungled. It's just shocking.
Yeah.
So
yeah, this was 1978, and I was by then writing for magazines.
right.
And I was sharing an apartment with my dad because he was going through a divorce from his second wife, the woman who played Hilda on Hogan's Hero, Patty. And I'm home, typing up my interview with Chevy Chase. I mean,
Yes.
this is a big get. I did a Chevy Chase interview for We magazine when it was owned by Playboy.
Yeah.
And
Yeah.
as I'm typing away at the apartment I'm sharing with my dad, John Carpenter, the alleged perpetrator of the crime, who not the director, the non-John Carpenter, who later went to trial and was found innocent or found not guilty, he called saying, I'm back in LA. I just saw your dad for a couple of days. And if you need anything, let me know. So I hung up. And this was really strange because he would never call on his return from visiting my dad in the city that he was doing a play in. John Carpenter was a video salesperson. So he would, and my dad was big into video and photography and all that stuff. So he might stop by to bring a part, to my dad in Cincinnati or something, where he's doing a play for the video deck. Because you have to remember, in 1978, we had reel-to-reel video with a camera that looked like something out of Uzbekistan that moved around, and wires and all this stuff. And it was the beginning of home video. Now everybody on their cell phones can't even imagine that, but that was the purpose of John Carpenter. So very, very long story shorter, that was the day later on when I called my dad in Scottsdale, Arizona, where he was doing a play, and a woman answered and said, he's not here right now. Who's this? I said, it's Bobby, his son. Nothing important, just tell him I called. And of course, by that time he had been dead probably 12 hours.
So very sad. And as you talk about the recording, I mean, certainly what he got involved with was the senior side of that sort of home video revolution for the most part. And I wondered if, I know he wanted to be an actor in the mode of Jack Lemmon or something like that. I thought if he could have taken that focus and put that toward the career, imagine what he could have done. So
well, Jack Lemmon was a hero of his. An actor named Gig Young,
of course,
who did, well, of course, Jack Lemmon and Gig Young both did, comedy and drama. And Gig Young was another hero of my dad. He just wanted to be like these people that could do light comedy and drama, and loved everything that they were ever in. And in fact, he got to work with Gig Young once on Gig Young and John Savage had a TV show for a while. Didn't run long, and I can't remember the name of it. I'll think of it after we're finished. My dad guested on one of the episodes of the show. It's Gig Young and John Savage. And
I remember too. I just read it, but I can't think of it either.
My dad was Cloud 9 working with one of his heroes, Gig Young. Oh my God! This is the best.
Wow. But it's also interesting that not only did you have to revisit the crime scene to try to get a better investigation on the go. But then you relived it when it was made into a film, or a film that was
Yeah.
based on, with autofocus, which I think is a
Yeah.
very compelling film. Yeah,
Yeah, I loved Autofocus.
me too.
Some of my family was outraged that I could have liked it. Most of the people in my family did not see the movie,
Okay,
but
yeah.
I look at it very differently, Susan. I know you and Anne Marie are huge film fans. I look at Autofocus as like the double feature, the flip side of Carnal Knowledge.
I agree. Yeah.
Yeah. You know, Carnal Knowledge, a great Mike Nichols film with Jack Nicholson and Art Garfunkel, you know, studying male sexuality in the 40s and 50s. And, you know, and then Autofocus kind of picks up in the 60s and 70s. And I look more like that than some, you know, biography of my dad. You know,
I
there's
agree.
only.
I take your point that it was just a snapshot of male sexuality then, and perhaps still now, some elements for sure. So, and it's a very good study in that way. And I thought it was a powerful film. So,
Yeah, I thought Greg Kinnear did a great job playing my dad. He got the spirit and the energy, and Willem Dafoe, you know, the best.
oh, I know, it's stunning. I can't separate him from that. When I think of that character, I just see that so vividly. Yeah.
But the thrill for me on that was because I became a kind of a tech advisor on it.
Oh, wow.
Was working with Paul Schrader. We went through the script together.
Right.
Was, you know, and meeting with wardrobe and set department, you know, how our home looked and what kind of clothes my dad would have worn and that kind of stuff. And then I got to go to the Toronto Film Festival and the New York Film Festival.
Oh, wow. Yeah.
Greg Willem, Paul Schrader, you know, these are heroes of mine. So I had a thrill.
Someone told me today on Facebook that a couple of the writers that were brought in also wrote Ed Wood and The People versus Larry Flint, who worked on that script. And I didn't know that previously. So
to the producers, I don't know how much they added to the script, to be honest. I don't know.
Okay. Oh, I see. Yeah.
But it was Larry Karaszewski, and I've forgotten his partner's name. And again, I'll think of this in 2 days and I'll call you back.
Well, that's all the story of my life, you know.
Yeah, they're a team, and they have written a lot of Jim Carrey, Man on the Moon.
Oh, okay. Well, that's a good one. Yeah.
Yeah. They love that kind of film, so they became involved with producers. I don't know how much they actually worked on the script because the script was by Michael Gerbosi with Paul Schrader, of course, adding his touches. And I got to have a dinner with Paul. We're at the Chateau Marmont.
Oh, there you go. Yeah.
In the restaurant, you know, and we're sitting there spooling pasta and drinking wine while we're going through the script. And I'm just putting my little notes on each page, you know, what he would have said and how he would have said it and that kind of thing. So, selfishly, I had a great time on it, you know.
Yeah, that's great. And I think it definitely must have really benefited from your input. And it's good that they were open to it because it's not always the case. So, yeah. The murder is still technically unsolved, or is it? We don't know. I mean, I have my suspicions. So. I strongly think his second wife. I mean, it's sort of like to exhume a body and put it in a different cemetery, have this gravestone with this ridiculous, long run-on sentence, like protesting too much. Something's not right there. So, in my estimation. So.
Yeah, Susan, I think of our families as two different families. The first family was my mom, and I have two sisters who are younger, much younger than me. And we're the little small town Connecticut people that come west to LA to fortune, you know. And then his second family was the aforementioned Patty, who was Hilda on Hogan's Heroes. And she had a daughter by a previous marriage, and then they had a son together. And these two families are so different. Patty has died. She's not with us.
Yeah, I saw that. Yeah.
I haven't talked to my half brother in 20 years.
I don't know how you could have, or if you have forgiven him, I don't know how you could. So I think that is huge if you're able to do that.
But one of the things, like my dad was originally buried in Chatsworth,
right,
California, out here in the San Fernando Valley, which
right.
is where I am. And my sister Karen would go out there and visit him occasionally, visit the gravesite. I never went. I just don't. I don't do that.
I don't either.
I think about him all the time. I don't have to go there and look at a stone or something. But anyway,
right.
She went. One day she goes out there. He is gone. His body. And she goes to the office to say, "I'm visiting my dad. Do you know anything?" "Oh, we can't tell you where he went." "Really? Well, I'm his daughter." "Really?" So she made a phone call to Patty, who switched her over, I think, to hit her attorney, Patty's attorney, who finally told her that he was buried in the heart of Westwood, in fact.
I know, yeah, that's the cemetery to be in, but really.
Little cemetery right in the heart of Westwood.
Right.
And in fact, I think Jack Lemmon and Marilyn
Monroe, for sure, yeah.
All sorts of people there. But Patty didn't even have the courtesy to let my side of the family know, where our dad had been moved. So this is the kind of stuff we've been dealing with.
Yeah, really, who does that? So it's really quite a story.
This show is brought to you by Kettle One on the Rocks. Thank you.
Well, it's water in a big jar at the moment.
Thank you very much.
Sure.
Yeah, but this has been a talk about collateral damage, which I think was a Tom Cruise film. We have been cleaning up after my dad since his death 43 years ago.
Wow.
With stuff like this. It's just never ending. And because there are two different families who don't get along at all,
I can see why.
Nightmare.
Yeah. I'm thinking of not collateral damage, but a nice note is that the jacket he wore in Hogan's Heroes, that was also in the film Autofocus, was auctioned for a nice sum of money. And I wondered if there's been an Antiques Roadshow vintage reappraisal. Did it go up, down? Did it, I would have a feeling.
Well, you know where it wound up, because they don't tell you who buys it. We donated the jacket. We made money off of it, but we played the jacket with not Sotheby's. The starts with a C. What's the big house?
I should know too.
I'll think.
Christie's.
Yeah, that's it. Thank you. Yeah, Christie's. Yeah.
Christie's, thank you. We placed it with Christie's, and they had a pop auction, all pop elements, Marlon Brando's script from The Godfather, Beatles stuff, my heroes, signed Beatle memorabilia, all this stuff. And my dad's jacket, Hogan jacket and shirt were in that auction. But they don't tell you who buys product. So we didn't know for many years, but now I don't know if it's gone through other hands, but apparently it's at an aviation museum in Ohio.
Oh, for heaven's sake.
Yeah.
Well, okay, why not? I guess. Yeah, that's very interesting.
Yeah.
Yeah. Wow.
But you mentioned Greg Kinnear wore it in autofocus, perfect fit. And the great thing about that jacket, the Hogan jacket, on the label, on the neck, in the label, it said Western costume, which used to be the place to go for costumes in TV. F. Sinatra.
I know. Fantastic.
And that was from Frank Sinatra doing a movie called Von Ryan's Express,
Yeah.
which was an Italian POW film, as opposed to a POW camp in Germany. And Frank wore that jacket for my dad did. But my dad never changed the label. He kept F. Sinatra on there the whole time.
Yeah, I would too. I think you'd have to be crazy not to. But well, we have John Candy looking on in your scene, and I know you worked with him, and he seems to have been quite a lovely person. So
yes, fantastic.
Yeah. Definitely very. Oh, what would you ever think of? Or I don't know what you're working on next, but would you ever think of writing a straight out biography or anything?
No, actually, Chris and I, the guy back here I'm pointing to, I don't know if you can see him, is John Candy, who I worked for about 6 years.
Right.
And I met John interviewing him when I used to write for magazines and newspapers. I interviewed John in the SCTV cast, the late comedy show, for Playboy. And
my favorite.
John. And Chris, the aforementioned Chris Fryer, and I have written a script about involving, it's called Three Cornered Circle. It's John, my character, and my late wife. So it's about a guy juggling a marriage that's going through cancer and stuff, and then dealing with this big star. And so I think I've written about as close to that as I will. At the moment. We'll see.
Right. Yeah. Well, it really was. It's a tremendous achievement. And so, was it cathartic or not? Or
it just, I think ultimately it felt good to go to the end of the pier and take the leap. And we talked about this earlier, and with a safety net down below, but trying stuff. And some of the items worked, some of them didn't for this book, but we tried different things with Chris Fryer, and I'm very pleased that we did that. I've been on a bunch of these shows,
I know. Yeah, I was watching some of them on YouTube. There's quite a few. Yeah.
A&E Biography, and all those shows that you did it. And that was our chance to kind of tell the story from at least my point of view. And so it to me it was worthwhile. I'm glad I did it. And just keep going.
Is your stepfather still with us?
Stepfather?
Yeah.
Chuck Sloan, the man. He is a saint.
Yeah, he's a real hero of the book. Yeah.
He is the wisest person I've ever known.
Wow.
He has put up with my family for 50 years. He married my mom. It was their second marriages. He has no children of his own, Susan. So he stepped into 3 kids, his wife, 2 mothers-in-law, one of them an ex-mother-in-law. My dad was still alive. My dad's brother was still alive. Just a nightmare. Anybody else would have become an alcoholic after this, but he has powered through this whole thing. God bless him. He's 93 years old.
Oh, that's fabulous. Yeah. I'm glad to hear it. Yeah.
Great
fabulous.
guy.
Oh, that's great. Yeah. That's great. Oh, I was thinking that the show, the title of this is The Legacy of the Family. How do you see that legacy? This is called the Crane Legacy.
Wow. I see us as just a small town Connecticut family. My mom and my dad came from families that were just, my mom working class. My dad's dad was a furniture salesperson.
Right.
And this was still in the era when the man went to work and the woman prepared dinner and got you your drink at the end of the day. So that was the era they came from. Non-show business, nothing.
Mhm.
And I guess the legacy is, I think about my dad all the time. He came out to LA, as I mentioned, with my mom. He did radio out here for 9 years. If anybody, you can go on YouTube and listen to some of his radio shows.
Yeah.
I
Oh,
can't.
cool.
It was wild. Just
So
unrehearsed.
inventive. Yeah.
Yeah. And then he started acting and, trying to be like his heroes, Jack Lemmon and Gig Young, and finally got his break with Carl Reiner, who was producing the Dick Van Dyke Show, was the biggest comedy show on TV. And he got to do a guest star role one week on Dick Van Dyke. And then from that got hired for Donna Reed for a couple of years. And then of course, the big break was Hogan's Heroes. So I guess the legacy is just small town, non-show business people jumping into Hollywood or Tarzana, really, very non-Hollywood people, and just moving and keeping it moving and taking care of the kids. And that being said, though, I don't know whether my dad should have been married or not, to be honest.
Probably. We're glad he did because we're glad you're here. But other than that, maybe it wasn't the ideal situation for him. I wonder where, Daddy became addicted to all these videos, making videos. I wonder where that came from, because there doesn't seem to be that, again, in his immediate family. They were so.
You say that, and it's funny. Paul Schrader, who directed Autofocus, says he thought my dad was always a bad person, and Hollywood gave him the opportunity to act out the things. So my dad was a Catholic altar boy.
Oh,
if you
okay.
picture this, in Stamford, Connecticut.
Yeah.
And growing up, because they were a heavy Catholic family, and he was the altar boy and the good boy and all this stuff. And when he got to Hollywood, he saw many opportunities. And again, that's where he was great with kids. He was a great dad to me.
Yeah.
But I don't think he should have necessarily been married.
Probably not. But interesting. I wondered if he and Warren Oates ever crossed paths somehow. And I thought, probably not. Warren was on the bar scene for sure, but I don't think it was the same bars. It was more. No. Yeah.
Well, no. And Warren Oates, you got to read Susan's book.
Thank
Warren
you.
Oates, published by University Press of Kentucky. It was fantastic. Warren Oates was a movie star. Warren Oates. My dad.
He'd like to hear that. Yeah.
Yeah, but my dad was a TV guy. And I think back then, before this big crossover with Nicole Kidman doing TV and all these.
Right. Warren did a heck of a lot of TV, but yeah.
There was a very distinctive line back then between movies and TV. And Warren Oates definitely was a movie star. My dad was a TV star. So.
Interesting. Yeah. I think in terms of that kind of predilection, Warren was no saint, but I don't think the remoteness of something visual would have appealed to him. He liked the real world. So that's at times maybe a little too much, so.
Yeah.
But very, very interesting. So
bring me the head of Alfredo Garcia. Yes.
It wasn't, it's Gig Young. I'm mad, or was Gig Young and bring the head of Alfredo Garcia? I think he was. Have I lost my mind? It's possible. I think he was. So yeah, I think so. Yeah. Well, all my people are going to be saying, what is she talking about? So I'm wrong. I don't think so. So
everybody buy the Warren Oates book.
Well, thanks. And certainly the Crane book as well. So
it's a pleasure to meet you finally.
Oh yeah, for sure. We have to do it in real world.
Yeah, absolutely.
Yeah. I don't know where. We'll think of somewhere, the right spot.
Hi, everyone. I've magically reappeared.
There you are.
Hi. Gosh, guys, this was so interesting. And, Bob, I really appreciate you spending time with us. You know, it's, it's a tragic story as well as a beautiful story. I read the book and I learned a lot. I can't imagine how difficult it was to write or how cathartic. But I think that you've answered some very tough questions here, and I really appreciate that.
Well, I love your show, Anne Marie. It's a pleasure to be on your show.
Thank you. I really
You guys do great interviews.
That's, yeah.
I will tell you though, I remember your dad as Colonel Hogan. I mean, I just remember growing up with Colonel Hogan. And that, thinking back, that's probably an odd kind of sitcom,
Yes.
to say the least. But I remember it with such fond memories, and that's how I know your dad. When he was on that show, what did you think?
Well, the weird thing too, Anne Marie, thinking back on it now, the show Hogan started in 1965. That's only 20 years after World War II ended.
That's right.
I mean, that's like nothing now,
That's right.
And they did it. And the original concept was a federal prison. Talk about laughs.
Interesting.
Federal prison. So they took that to ABC, and ABC said, no, we're not doing that. So Al Ruddy, who's now a big time producer, he's got a Clint Eastwood film coming out soon, and his partner Bernie Fine rethought it, and I think they were heavily influenced by Stalag 13 with William Holden and the Billy Wilder film, and Great Escape. It had just been out a couple of years ago with Steve McQueen and James Garner, and great movie. And then Von Ryan's Express that we mentioned with Frank Sinatra. So it kind of became this POW thing, and some people didn't understand at the beginning. Some of the critics thought it was concentration camp. No. Concentration camp, Jewish, gays, other people that were exterminated. No, this is Allied soldiers. This is English, French, US, and they're all put together in this prison camp. And my dad had so much confidence in this show that he quit his radio show the summer before Hogan's went on in September. He did his last because he was doing them at the same time, filming all day.
That's right. Yeah, I remember that from the book.
So in August he stopped his radio show, and September Hogan's Heroes premiered, 1965.
And it was on for 6 years, right? 5 or 6 years.
But you know what, Anne Marie, it's never been off television since 1965.
Oh wow! I have the DVD sets, okay, so I'm not streaming it, but I did buy the DVD sets. It just, it's one of those iconic shows. It's one of those shows that just fans think back on, with fond memories. I'm glad it's still on. Like I said, I bought the DVD box sets.
God bless you.
But it's really interesting because, again, that's how I know your dad. Okay. But reading the book, and I forgot he was on the Donna Reed show. Like when I watched the Donna Reed, oh my gosh, that's Bob Crane. But, I think of him as Colonel Hogan. So, he was on the Donna Reed show for a couple of years. He got that job, right, because of the Dick Van Dyke episode, right? And Donna Reed, I think, wanted him on the show or something. So it was very, very interesting. So he was on the Donna Reed show for quite a bit as well. Dr.
What
Kelsey.
happened was Dr. Kelsey, Dave Kelsey, and an actress with him, Anne, can't remember her name. I'll think of it. I'll write back to you guys. The Donna Reed show had been on about 5 years at that time. And it was, Donna Reed, it was a nice show. It was pretty straight ahead. So Tony Owen, Donna Reed's husband, who produced the show, saw my dad on the Dick Van Dyke Show and said, you know what, we need wacky neighbors for Donna and Carl Betts, you know, her husband in the show. And that's why they brought in my dad and Ann to play the wacky neighbors. So they did that for a couple of years, you know.
Yeah, so I found that very interesting. So my experience with your dad as a fan was starting kind of at Hogan's and then working backwards, because in reading the book, I had no idea that your dad was a radio personality. Clueless about that. But he was really popular here on the East Coast before he went to the West Coast, right?
He was.
Yeah, and he was a drummer, right? And he did comedy. He was kind of, I don't know that much about radio, but would you say maybe a little bit of ahead of his time as far as a morning drive person goes?
Definitely ahead of his time, Anne Marie. If you could have seen his studio for the radio show out here, he had a drum set set up.
Wow.
He had a board in front of him. He had this is back in the day of, you know, discs, you know, so not compact disc, but vinyl.
Yeah.
Record. Yeah. He had 3 turntables. He had an engineer in another room who played commercials and music. And he had because he was moving around, he had a horse collar basically around his neck with a microphone. So he could stand up, he could drum, he could turn, he could be all over the place, and he'd have his microphone. It was 4 hours of pandemonium every day. And I just want to mention again, if anybody's interested in this, I think you can go to YouTube basically and, you know, Bob Crane radio show and listen to some of the old tapes.
I'm definitely going to check it out. I had no idea. And the one thing, I actually wrote it down on a sticky, okay, that your dad's jacket is at an aviation museum in Ohio. That's so cool.
That's it. Absolutely.
Oh my God. I'm going to have to go to Ohio. I need to see that.
I know.
So I'm not going to forget.
I think they have some other stuff too. I think maybe part of Clink's outfit and
Oh my gosh.
Schultz's stuff and some other stuff they have there. I haven't been. I haven't seen it in person.
Yeah. Wow. So I don't know, it's a long time ago, but do you remember as a kid, how did you feel when you were going to relocate to California because you got your dad got this like massive, great job? I mean, did this all resonate with you, or were you kind of too young to?
Yeah, I was too young. I was 5.
Yeah, a little too young.
Connecticut.
Yeah.
And I just want to be with my mom and dad. That's all I knew. Then I started, kindergarten here when we got here, and the big effect for me was Hogan's. I was in middle school at the time, and all of a sudden people that I didn't even know, kids came up to me and, your dad's Colonel Hogan. They keep coming up.
Is that a good thing? I hope.
Yeah, that's weird. Wow.
Yeah.
So, and then the flip side of that was, of course, when my folks got divorced, it was there used to be like little entertainment news blurbs on the news at night. And, Colonel Hogan and his wife are getting divorced after 20 years. And then the next day I'm in high school now. I was a senior in high school. And like somebody would come up to me, I didn't even know, from our class or another class, well, I heard about your folks. That's the weird part of it.
Yeah.
The good part of it is that you get into events that you probably won't be able to get into, like baseball games and sporting events and stuff like that, because your dad is a celebrity, so that's the side of it. But we had a good time, basically.
That's great. And I know, again, you were saying when you were little, your dad brought you into the studio, you were kind of your own little personality. But when your dad wasn't working, what kind of stuff did you do with him when you were young?
Oh, we created a pool baseball league. We had a pool, which was a major event for a family from Connecticut. We had our own pool in Southern California. And we had a little rubber ball and a short bat, that you would choke up. You wouldn't take a full swing. You'd do like a half swing. He would pitch to me. I would be the Dodgers. I would pitch to him. He would be the Yankees. We had a whole schedule. We did the whole league. We had National League, American League. We had a World Series. And this is all played in the pool.
That's so fun.
These are the kind of things we did. I mean, his imagination, wild. Just wild.
That's awesome. What a great memory.
Yeah. The pool league.
Awesome. The pool league. Yeah. Yeah. Very, very cool.
Yeah.
Wow. So I guess, it's probably unfair to ask, but your favorite role, would that be Colonel Hogan?
Well,
Yes.
the two major, career moments for my dad, as far as I'm concerned, the radio show
Yeah.
on KNX here in Los Angeles, 1956 to 65. No script, Anne Marie. In his brain,
Amazing.
out of his mouth, on live radio.
Wow.
And I sat there as a kid watching, because I'd go see a show occasionally, like Summer Vacation, that kind of thing, and watch him. I'm just going, how's he doing this? And then, of course, Hogan's Heroes. I think he was born to play Colonel Hogan.
Yeah.
I think it just all came together. The cast came together. My dad, the brains of the whole thing. Edward H. Feldman was the producer of Hogan's Heroes. He cast everybody. He got the writers, the directors, the whole look of the show, everything. Edward H. Feldman, who was a sweetheart and a brilliant guy. He was the brains behind Hogan's.
Awesome. Gosh, I'm so happy. We haven't gotten any fan questions, but we're getting a lot of claps and thumbs up and hearts, just so you know, which is
Thank
great.
you very much.
So I'm so happy, and I can't thank you enough for being here, both you and Susan. Thank you so much. It's an hour of your time on Sunday night when lots of people like to relax and just kick back. So I really appreciate your time. We will push this out as much as we can. This was a wonderful interview. I really, really appreciate it.
Well, I thank both of you. Thanks, Anne Marie, for your ongoing show. And I've always wanted to meet Susan. I love her Warren Oates book, and so it's a pleasure.
Great.
Yeah.
And I will recommend to my fans, I've read your book. Again, look, all the Post-it notes.
Oh my God. Wow.
I like to take notes when I read. Crane's Sex, Celebrity, and My Father's Unsolved Murder. And I will be sure to pick up your other books. And Susan, I'm a huge David Bowie fan, so I'm going to be reading your book as
Very
well.
good.
I have a huge
Great.
poster of The Man Who Fell to Earth, actually.
Yeah.
Oh, fantastic.
Yeah. Anyway, again, thank you both. Really appreciate it. I hope we get to chat again sometime.
Yes.
Love
Thanks so
it.
much.
Have
Thank
a
you.
great night. Take care. And
Bye.
thanks everyone for joining us. Bye.
Bye.
Thank you.